on AFM Bavaria, the Eagle, serving America's best.
Guten Morgen, Bayern. This is your boy, Colonel Kevin Poole, your friendly neighborhood garrison commander for Grafenwehr, Vilseck, Hohenfels, and Garmisch. Hey, it's a nice, cool, brisk morning here in Bavaria. So if you didn't notice, my intro music is usually Take On Me by Aha. But it's a different song today. Bruce Springsteen. That's because we got a very special guest here, and his favorite artist is Bruce Springsteen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very honored to have the senior U.S. diplomat in the Free State of Bavaria, Consul General Timothy Liston. Sir, thank you for coming in. Welcome. It's great to see you.
Good morning, Kevin. Great to be here. As you said, a cold, brisk, and wonderful, beautiful day here in Bavaria.
That's awesome. It's a great day. You got up at like 2:33 in the morning to drive up here.
What do you say in the Army? Oh, dark 30?
Oh, dark 30. That's right. What I'm talking about.
Right.
It warms my soul to see a State Department person that has the spirit of a soldier. That's awesome, sir. I really appreciate you being here, sir. This is awesome.
It's all about civil relations.
That's
right?
what I'm talking about.
Right.
So, I think it's very important to have you here, sir, because, us as Americans living and working here overseas, it is important to understand that we are, and you've said it before on numerous occasions, we are all like, diplomats, and work for you. But one of the things I didn't realize, and it didn't dawn on me until, your team reached out, is for AFN, we serve the service members, but there's also, I didn't think about the hundreds, maybe even thousands of expatriates living and working here in Bavaria that are totally unaffiliated with the military that listen to AFN. I think that's powerful.
Yeah, 100%. I have my own memories. I've been doing Germany since I was a college student, and I remember studying at the University of Bonn and trying to get that late night Sunday football game in and just holding the antenna the right way. So I'm like, you hear crackling because it was getting AFN out of Frankfurt back then.
And that was in the days where, for all of us, we're going to date ourselves. That was in the days where there was only one AFN channel, and that thing at midnight, it played the national anthem, and then the TV went off, and it didn't come on until 6 in the morning. That's great times.
That's right,
awesome.
But it goes back to what you're saying. There are a lot of us out here that don't serve with the military, but nonetheless kind of get connected with home.
Absolutely.
Through AFN, whether it's sports or just hearing an American voice when you're in Germany. It's just sometimes really comforting. So it's always something I look forward to every Sunday when I get to listen to my Giants play.
Absolutely. We won't delve too much into the Giants now. I don't want to get you in a bad mood, sir, but it's all good. Yeah. AFN is definitely a venue that is our home provides our home away from home. Shout out to all of my AFN. DJ Moody, I got DJ Moody, I got Aura here.
Always.
We are up in this piece, and we are about to get it started. DJ, how you doing, DJ Moody?
I'm doing great this morning. I'm excited. We got a special guest in the studio. He looks amazing, looks great, and I've heard so much about you all the way before you came, so I'm really excited to hear what you got to talk to Bavaria about, and I'm pretty sure the soldiers and families out there are excited as well.
That's what's up. So I mentioned, living and working here in Bavaria as American soldiers, citizens, civilians, family members, expatriates. I know there's a lot of things that the State Department, particularly the consulate in Munich, does for all of our U.S. citizens. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of important work done by the consulate, but for some, they probably haven't heard of it, but may not be aware of the specifics. Could you give us an overview of why we have a U.S. consulate in Munich?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Look, we've been here as long as you have. The consulate's been around since after World War II down in Munich, and our common spot is since 58, Köttingenstrasse. But what we do is basically, in the most general sense, is we represent and advance U.S. interests. To get a little more specific than that, we're the interlocutor with the Bavarian government, for example, Kevin, when you need something and we need to coordinate on things Paul Mill related, political military related, we coordinate with us, and then we're across the street with the state chancellery. Specifically, maybe for viewers, for your listeners, one of our biggest thing is to protect, of course, and offer services for U.S. citizens.
Absolutely.
Whether it's passports, whether it's certificates of birth abroad for children, voting. We also then, for our U.S. companies coming in, they're looking to get a foothold here in Bavaria. We offer services to help, basically find where they can invest. And on the flip side of that, we want to bring German companies to the United States, create U.S. jobs. And we go through us. We have a program called Select USA, and we bring German companies over every year to look at potential places where they can invest.
Well, see, I didn't even know that. I didn't realize you actually delved into that piece, that bringing German companies to the United States. That's wow. That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. But you know what? It's really, really fun. I mean, anytime I can create a U.S. job, or I can help bring an export over from the United States, or help a U.S. citizen that needs a new passport, maybe his girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, they might need a visa.
Right.
We might want to we have German kids studying all the time in the United States. So
Wow.
we want to bring them over. They're going to need a visa. And that's the stuff that we do. And you know what it's doing? It's advancing U.S. interests, but it's also really bringing German and Americans together.
Okay, no, that's awesome. So as I'm listening to you, and I've been working with you and your team, for the past year, roughly, and every single one of your teammates and you exude that level. I mean, you clearly enjoy what you do. So tell me a little background about yourself, and what brought you to the United States State Department.
Yeah, that's thanks for the question. I never get tired of talking about it. It actually started a really, really long time ago when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, just like you and your folks, the soldiers, men and women serving in our military, I wanted to serve my country. When I was 12, I remember reading Newsweek. I came home, I was a latchkey kid, and opening it up and seeing these guys in Vienna negotiating the Strategic Arms Limitations Talk to basically bring down our nuclear stockpiles. I go, you know what, someday I really would like to do that. I want to be part of that, serving our country, making it a safer, better place to be. And flash forward about, 20, 25, 26 years after that, I was taking the test to join the U.S. State Department. I got lucky enough. I passed it. I just want to say lucky because the rates of acceptance, there's no way that wasn't the kind of colleges I went to.
Wow, that's awesome.
But
that's awesome.
It started then, and then what brought me to Bavaria is I wanted this job since, once I joined the Foreign Service. Mm-hmm. And I had my background investigation, my security check done at the U.S. consulate in Munich. And I remember sitting out there, I said, wow, it would be great here. It would be a great place to serve, and I'd love to be CG.
That's awesome.
And that was, that was 23 years ago, and
here we are today. Here we are today.
Here we are in AFN.
Hey, man, hey, sir, I could talk to you all day. We got a lot more going on, but hey, DJ Moody, I'm gonna go ahead and let you kick this thing off and take us some more Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, definitely, I got you, sir. Not Bruce Springsteen this time, but a little Bon Jovi for Mr. Liston.
Yeah,
Liston.
that's what I'm talking about.
To like a little Bon Jovi. Yeah, we got you. Living on a Prayer coming up next, 7:16 in the morning now. Let's rock and roll.
Colonel Poole, right here on AFM Bavaria, the Eagle, serving America's best.
Hey, what's going on, my Bavarian family? We are back. I tell you what, Mr. Liston, you've got a pretty interesting, playlist of music here. We might have to exchange playlists here. I'm impressed.
I'm in.
I am impressed. So, sir, I really enjoyed listening to your, a little bit of background about yourself. I'd like to delve more into that, and particularly for my military listeners, a little bit more details on like the structure of the State Department. I've always been fascinated with, foreign service and diplomats, and one of the things I've always worked with you. So, as for those of you who don't know, Mr. Liston is a consul general. He continuously reminds folks he's not an ambassador. He is a consul general, and that's a 1-star equivalent, sir.
That's correct.
Yeah. So give us a little more in-depth insight into the State Department, sir.
Yeah. Okay. As my old college professor would say, is the State Department's probably the closest thing to civilian military in terms of rank and structure. We have. The Senior Foreign Service was made up of minister counselors and counselors and career ministers. They're all three career minister starting there is 3-star equivalent, down to what I am as an OC. It's 1-star. And then you have basically political economic officers, and everything is based on the size of an embassy or consulate. For example, you will have an embassy that always has a senior foreign service, a flag officer as an ambassador. But after that, you could have a DCM, a deputy chief of mission, basically your XO. That could be an O1 or an O2, which is an O6 or O5 equivalent in your language. So from that perspective, there's a lot of continuity in terms of how it ranks.
Oh, that's awesome. So, so you're a consul general. I also, when I was in the senior service college at National Defense University, one of my classmates, I had an elective with her. Her next assignment was as a chargé d'affaires. I like that term. What is a chargé d'affaires?
So a chargé d'affaires is basically the person in charge of when an ambassador is not there. So if an ambassador hasn't been confirmed and is not at post, then you have the deputy chief of mission. That XO is going to move up as basically the acting ambassador, which is then referred to as a chargé d'affaires.
Interesting.
For us, when I'm out of the consular district, which is Bavaria, I'll put someone in charge as acting, A/. Right. So I always like to say I'm the other CG in here in Bavaria. We have General Carpenter, Brigadier General Carpenter is the CG 1.0, and I gotta say CG 2.0.
That's awesome. So as I'm listening to you in your describing your hierarchies and your succession plans, a lot of what you do is structured a lot like the military. I mean, who you'd put in charge when you're not there is the same thing for me as an executive officer or military assistant. So there are a lot of similarities between how we operate and you.
Yeah, there really is, and it goes to the point where the State Department and the Department of Defense need to and really have started, or actually have been over the last couple decades, working closer together. We understand each other a lot. We need each other. General Mattis would always say, if you give me 100 foreign service officers, that's less amount of bullets that I need to carry.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because
we're
there. We're there. You're there to protect.
Yep.
And keep the peace. But we want to make sure that there is a peace to be kept.
Absolutely.
And that's what we do.
That's awesome. So tell me some of your favorite assignments. I'm sure you've been in the service, State Department for a while. Some of your most notable assignments that you've been.
Yeah, I have to say one of the assignments that I'm probably really the most proud of, outside of course being CG here in Bavaria, was my time in Vietnam.
Oh, wow, that must be awesome.
Yeah, I was a deputy political counselor up there in Hanoi for 3 years, and then I was the deputy consul general, the XO down at Ho Chi Minh City. And what I really loved about it was it really showed the power of diplomacy. It showed the power of the Defense Department and the State Department working together, turning basically what was our mortal enemy for 20 years back in the 50s through the 70s into one of our strongest partners in Southeast Asia, and basically the pillar, one of our pillars of our Indo-Pacific strategy. And it just shows, if you talk enough and you build these relationships over time, you build that trust and understanding where anything's possible.
Right.
And that I got to contribute to that. I got to help them clean up their unexploded ordnance, giving them money to do that, clean up Agent Orange, build that trust so we could deal with address the past in order to move into the future. And that's where we are.
And I tell you what, that's a blessing to have you on, sir, because we all here in Vilseck and Grafenweer, down in Hohenfels, we're all about training to fight. Which is the military, element of national power. But a lot of us don't think about, what's even more important and more enduring, is the big D, the diplomatic element of national power, which is what you all do in perpetuity, which makes our job, like you said, way easier. So I appreciate that, sir. So you were in Vietnam.
Yep.
I'm sure you picked up a little bit of Vietnamese. I've heard you on numerous occasions sprechen the sprek. How many languages do you speak, sir?
So I came into the Foreign Service with German. I had started taking that in 8th grade, and I was a German linguistics major in college. But then they taught me Lithuanian in the State Department, and then they gave me Vietnamese. So both languages, that was my job to learn. I got 23 weeks of Lithuanian, and then I got almost a year of Vietnamese. And that's every day from 0800 to 1600, learning a language.
A year of school.
A year of school.
How would you rate your Vietnamese? Are you fluent or?
I would rate as passable, as serviceable. And the thing with foreign languages is you have to keep them up.
Absolutely.
Because you will find that you have a certain amount of vocabulary and that you get on the ground and you get very comfortable saying certain things.
Right.
But that other vocabulary that you learn in school starts to deteriorate. Mm-hmm. So if you're into language, it's one of those things where it's like set and reps.
You got to keep
set
it
and
up.
reps.
Exactly.
You got to keep doing it.
So, us living here in Germany, one of the things that, my wife is German, so by default, I've had to at least try to speak the language. But one of the things that I always impress upon our soldiers, civilians, and family members coming here to Germany, like for instance, I do every week, we do a newcomers in brief, and I tell them, hey, it is very important to at least try to speak the language. If the first word that comes out of your mouth is English when you go to a grocery store or a restaurant, you're wrong. Try and I think that's a very important. What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more, Kevin.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times a person's face will light up. You're in a foreign country, and you make the effort. You make the effort to just try to say a couple words, and they appreciate that effort. And you're showing respect to the home country wherever you are. And yeah, maybe you're not fluent, but you're giving it really your best shot. And there's nothing like speaking Vietnamese when you're in country and they look at you and the first is like, does not compute. But then just when they realize you're speaking their language and you're making such an effort, and with tonal language is really, it's an extra effort.
Right.
To get those tones correct.
Exactly.
They really appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
Couldn't be happier.
And and I tell my folks, it's like, hey, as long as the first word that comes out of your mouth is German, you made that start, and everything else might be English, and you try. Whoever you're interacting with is going to look at you funny, and then they're going to smile, and then they're going to proceed to speak better English than you do. And then the next time you go out, you practice up and you speak a phrase. And then the next time you go out, you can speak a complete sentence and just keep getting better every single time. And that just shows, like you said, sir, the respect that we have for our host nation partners. And that shines a good light on us as Americans living overseas.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there's so many just like little things, just from ordering something to drink and bitte. There you go, right?
Yeah. That's all you need.
And then they're happy, right? Yeah. And maybe you learn to count, so you learn money, bitte, danke, these little things. And then maybe because we're in Bavaria, you throw in a Grüß Gott,
Servus. And they love it. They go crazy.
You're off to the races.
Yeah, you're off to the races. But you know what, sir? I mean, I tell you, the German language I find fascinating because it is so complex. It is just a challenge to me. I will spend the rest of my life trying to get to the level of German that I need to be at, because you can, one sentence trying to communicate a concept in German, you could say it 10 different ways, and all of them could be correct.
Yeah.
But they have different nuances, and they'll be perceived by a German in different ways. It's so fascinating.
That's right. When you put these certain words in certain positions, it gives a different flavor, a different tone. So I couldn't agree more. And and you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. My wife's German as well. My kids are bilingual. They will make fun of me probably to the day I go about, because I can't say I can't say the umlaut U, right? And we lived on Pökelgasse in Vienna, and I'd be ordering it, and the taxi service is like, "Where do you live?" And then I just got to the point where I got so frustrated. I said, "I live on the next street, like the street, the cross street." They're like, "Dad, Pökelgasse." I'd inevitably mess it up, but
that is
hey,
awesome.
I'm trying, and people get it.
Exactly,
really
exactly. Well, I've heard you speak German, sir. I couldn't tell the difference. So you actually doing better than I am. So I'm trying to get to where you at, sir. Hey, this is awesome. Hey, DJ Moody, we are This is a great time. I'd love to keep going, but I know you got to play some music for the folks. So
it is. I got to play a little bit of music. It's totally fine, but we're going to get right back to it. We got 2 hours in the studio with you guys this morning, and I'm really excited about that. I'm pretty sure you are as well, Bavaria. I got your weather coming up next, and of course, after that, the news, and we're right back with Colonel Poole and Mr. Timothy Liston, Consul General over there in Munich. Keep it locked. 7:43 in the morning now. Yes, indeed, you're tuned into the Morning Scramble or the Jingle Jam, whichever you want to call it, on AFM Bavaria's The Eagle. And right now, we're diving in with Colonel Poole. But first off, I got your weather for Bavaria in the Rose Barracks, Tau Barracks, Hohenfels, Ansbach area. Stepping outside right now, 15 degrees is what you gonna feel. The high this morning, only getting to about 20 degrees. This afternoon, though, 27 degrees, 7% chance of precipitation coming down. Probably not going to happen too much going into the overnight hours. We're looking at about 25 degrees, and looks like the snow might creep on in during the overnight hours with an 85% chance of that. Over there in the Garmisch-Partenkirchen area, the GP, as I like to call it, 16 degrees is what you're feeling if you step outside right now. Overcast skies, and yeah, it's looking like it's going to be like that all throughout the day. This morning, the high only getting to about 23 degrees. This afternoon, they're hitting 31. Overnight, 27 degrees over there in the Garmisch-Partenkirchen area. Those mountain views are going to be freezing. 14% chance of precipitation coming down. Looks like the snow is going to subside for a couple of days, but possibly pick back up again tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Colonel Poole, what are we doing out here in the streets?
I tell you what, thanks for the weather update. Winter is no longer coming.
No, it's
Winter
not.
Is here. And I mentioned it last week. I mentioned it this week on my weekly video to all of our social media platforms. If you haven't gotten your winter tires put on by now, you are wrong. Especially down in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, and I won't pronounce Hohenfels the way you did, but down in Hohenfels, get your, in here in Grafendeer, it's crispy out there, and it's going to be snowing, so you got to make sure and keep us safe.
Oh yeah.
So, sir, let's get back into it. This is fabulous. I really appreciate you, and if I haven't mentioned it already, just giving us insights into your arena as a diplomat here in Germany. And I think one of the things we talked about languages and the importance of speaking a language when you're in another country. 39,000 soldiers, civilians, family members, retirees living in the U.S. Army Garrison Bavaria footprint. And you've said it before, and every time you say it, I think about it, and it becomes that much more profound. We have 39,000, upwards of 40,000, people that assist you in your job as a U.S. diplomat, in being a good neighbor, trying to speak the language. All those things that enable us to be good diplomats are very important. I'd ask you, sir, what advice do you have for our listeners wanting to get more involved with our host nation to help you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. First of all, again, Kevin, thanks for having me up here. I mean, these are the things that make the job so much fun and reaching really an important constituency that we have in Bavaria. And, for those Americans that are here, been here for a while, you know how important it is to get out, starting with the language, of course. But, seeing the country, seeing all these wonderful things. I mean, we have so much snow on the ground. Going to the Christmas markets now. Yeah. It's idyllic. It's like a postcard. You have to, just dive in. Yeah. Dive into the culture. Go out to the mountains. You mentioned Garmisch. There's great skiing down there. But it's also just going down to the local bakery, getting your Semmel, or getting your Quarkbrot or whatever you want to eat.
Absolutely.
Talking to the baker, maybe meeting a local. And I will say, if anyone has a dog, you're talking about an automatic social magnet.
Absolutely.
Going to the park with your dog, keep your dog on a leash, of course.
Yes.
It brings people together.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the community that I always envision that you bring here with your 39,000 troops and their dependents and those who work for you. They are the ambassadors. They are the diplomats, and you're engaging every day on a daily level. Join a club.
Yeah.
Car club, fishing club, hunting club, whatever's out there. Dog lovers club. Those are the things that interact with the locals and build that trust, understanding, and friendship that's so important.
And especially here in this area, they love to have us. They love to include us in all of the things they've got going on. And so you're talking about Christmas markets and all the stuff, particularly here in Bavaria. I tell you what, I've lived in Stuttgart. I was in Stuttgart for 2 years before I came here. I love Stuttgart. I love Baden-Württemberg. Don't get me wrong. but it ain't Bavaria. What is so special about this place, sir?
You know, I think the Bavarians have done a fantastic job of marketing themselves internationally. Whether it's Neuschwanstein, the castle that Walt Disney used as his model to build the Magic Kingdom in Florida.
Yep.
To the beautiful Alps, the mountains, and of course, the wonderful party that is Oktoberfest. These are the things where most Americans and a lot of folks have served over here. I think there's been over 2 million soldiers that have served in Bavaria since World War II. They bring these images, they bring this tradition home to them, to their towns across the United States, and that's what sticks with them. And it's just those idyllic little villages on the foothills of the Alps, just the vistas that you get.
And you don't even have to go that far, sir. I tell you what, I was driving on the taking my brother-in-law and his sister to the train station to go back to Berlin yesterday, and driving from Grafenwehr to Weiden. And as you come out into an open area and all the trees are capped in white snow and the sun was shining in the afternoon.
Yep.
I mean, it was like a picture out of a fairy tale right in our backyards and things you just, I mean, it's just amazing here.
I mean, just in all the nature they have, right? You can go for walks in the park. But if you want to make the drive to the big city, quote unquote, go to Nuremberg, the Christkindlmarkt there. It's just fantastic. And then you have this city that's steeped in tradition and history that goes back centuries to the Middle Ages. And so you can transport yourself into another era, another time, if you take the time, if you take the opportunity to learn about it.
Absolutely.
It's all there.
And learning about it and then immersing yourself in the culture and just gaining an appreciation for the culture. I think it just makes us that much better. And really gaining an appreciation for the culture is just, opening up yourself and being open to new ideas, new ways of thinking. And then we've got to be able to respect the culture. I think is important because you mentioned dogs, you mentioned pets.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always stress to my folks, my Americans living here in Germany, is Germans are particular about their pets. Put them on a leash. Don't leave them in the backyard fenced up and not, that's just not how Germans do. And those are some of the things that we've got to be cognizant of how our host nation partners live and how they conduct themselves. And we've got when in Rome, so to speak. We've got to be able to assimilate and conduct ourselves accordingly as well.
Yeah, and you do want to be respectful of it's a different culture and different standards and norms and acceptances. Just going up for people love their dogs,
right?
And they want you to love their dog too.
Yeah, exactly.
But please ask before you pet the dog.
Yes,
they're very particular.
They're very
about
particular.
That. It's not like you just come up and our American dogs are like everywhere, like slobbering and all fun. But their dogs are very.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yes, that you ask to pet the dogs first. Yes. No, that's awesome.
And they will let you.
Yeah.
But maybe they're also trying to protect you. Maybe the dog doesn't want to be petted.
Exactly. And then speak a German word to them.
Yes.
And then strike up a conversation. And I tell you, we've made so many lifelong friends. Between my first assignment here, between 2003 and 2010, down in Hohenfels, and this assignment, we've created so many lifelong friends and bonds that you just. It can't be understated how welcoming and how supportive the people are here, particularly in this area.
100%. I mean, there's something that they say in Bavarian, it's Bavarian hospitality, bayerische Gastfreundschaft.
Yep.
And it's true. They're warm, they're open, and I think that's where we make the connection so closely that we as Americans are always looked as very friendly and open and welcoming based on our history and our cultures. And the Bavarians are the same way. And I think that bond, and it also helps that we've been here over 7 decades.
Yeah.
That has built those bonds over time.
So I would argue that we are inextricably linked and connected. We have, I mean, just think about it, 70 years of being, here in Germany with a U.S. presence. We have created bonds that can't be broken between our two nations living here. So it's very special.
No, 100%, and all kinds of starts with shared values, right?
Absolutely.
Shared values, respect for human rights, democracy. Those are the things that have brought us here, that built the country up from really nothing, from Stunde Null, it's the 0 hour back after the war, and made it the strongest thriving democracy in all of Europe. And we were an integral part of that. and they want to succeed. And we helped, and we made them, helped make Germany this economic wonder.
Absolutely.
But also it rooted in democracy, and that's why we've been here for over 70 years, and it's been really our anchor in Europe in terms of an ally and partner.
Absolutely, absolutely. I could talk about Bavarians, German culture writ large, and how wonderful it is to live and work
100%.
here.
And don't forget of course, the Wurstgipfel.
Oh,
picnics,
yeah. Yeah.
Because you can really eat really well here.
Exactly. Yeah. And that can be a bad thing for some of our soldiers, particularly if we aren't staying on our physical training game.
Oh, yeah.
It
definitely.
can, DJ Moody, you look like you've been putting on, you've been doing PT.
You get after the summer.
I've been doing a little PT, but not as much as I probably should. So, yeah, I might be putting a little bit of that weight on. You guys are talking about what makes it better in Bavaria for you, and that's our AFM Bavaria Facebook page question of the day this morning. So a lot of people on the page actually joining in and giving their comments about what they feel like makes it better in Bavaria for them. Brian Clayton on the page said, friendly people, great food, beautiful towns. I can go on and on and on. For years, I worked in Kaiserslautern, and you can really tell the difference from there in Bavaria.
Absolutely.
So kind of like what you guys were talking
Spot
about.
on. And it's a great point. It's like, and I'm not knocking all the other towns. I love Stuttgart. I love when I go visit Wiesbaden. But I tell you what, I think it all stems from how appreciative our host nation partners are, from all of our mayors to our landrats. They are so supportive of us. They love to have us here. I think that is, for me, the biggest difference that I've found is just how welcoming they are, and just the local populace in general. That makes it so much better.
It really made us feel at home.
Yeah.
And that is really I think I couldn't agree more. That's an integral part of it. And the ability, Germans and Bavarians, you make a friend for life.
Absolutely.
And I think the Army, our military folks have been so good about keeping these friendships up over time. I remember I gave one of my first speeches in Bad Tölz, where we used to have our special forces.
That was a pretty good pronunciation of that, by the way.
I got the. See, I
you got the Tölz.
I got the O.
You did.
The dotted O.
The U is the problem.
U is my bane of my existence.
Yeah. No, that's good. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
Good. Thanks. Give me a shout out for my toads. But yeah, so I was the mayor was giving a speech, and the way he talked about the United States military presence in Bad Tölz over the decades made it seem like, did they leave like last year? No, they left in 1991.
Right.
But the friendships continue.
Absolutely.
These bonds continue. Same in Augsburg, where the 68th MI was there for decades.
I tell you, you bring up a really interesting point, because when we had our German American Volksfest in August, I ran into Germans that came to our Volksfest. They come all the way from Augsburg and Bad Tölz and Bamberg, and places where there used to be U.S. installations, where they used to have their little Volksfests, but they came from hours and hours away to our Volksfest, because they're still connected to the military and the culture. And all of the bonds that they had 30 and 40 years ago, they miss that, and they appreciate that. I find that very special.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think the work you guys are doing to set up these cooperative agreements, for example, in Bayreuth, where we used to have a base, but now you're going back there with partnerships. Fantastic. It just kind of rekindles that magic that was there when we were present.
Okay.
Definitely. It's 7:57 in the morning now. You guys the conversation is great. I love it. I can't even imagine a better conversation we've had on Dive In, Colonel Poole. So this is amazing. Colonel Poole, thank you so much for being here. We still got an hour long to go with Colonel Poole and Consul General Timothy Liston. Thank you all for being here this morning. I can't wait for the next hour, and I can't wait to hear what you guys got to say. Definitely. 7:58 in the morning now, guys. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. Coming up next, this one's straight for Mr. Timothy Liston. Drop it like it's hot. Snoop Dogg. Let's go.
Right here on AFM Bavaria, the Eagle, serving America's best.
Guten Morgen, Bayern. It's your boy, Colonel Kevin Poole, your friendly neighborhood garrison commander for Grafenwehr, Vilseck, Hohenfels, and Garmisch. Hey, it's the top of the hour. Morning to you all that are driving to work or coming out, getting off PT. Hey, we got a really special guest here. We have Consul General Timothy Liston, he drove all the way up here from Munich to be with you all and to talk to you all. Sir, I really appreciate you having you here. But let's talk about this playlist so far. This has been an interesting playlist. Yeah, the last song going into the break, we dropped it like it's hot with Snoop Dogg. What you know about that Snoop Dogg, sir?
Snoop is a amazing character. Not just a great musical artist, but also just an entrepreneur, football coach. But my introduction to Snoop was actually with that song back in around 2005. I was in a club in Berlin. And,
oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
please do tell.
Yeah, not a club, but like kind of a club.
Oh, yeah.
And we're chilling there, and I was there with a couple friends. My cousin flew in from London, where she was studying, and it was one of those unique things where it was kind of a large place, like bed kind of thing, where everyone's out there. You're having food served and drinks, and it was a great vibe. Wow. And all of a sudden, they dropped the Snoop song, and I'm like, This is good.
A good song.
It's good.
I tell you what, you mentioned Snoop Dogg and how he has, from when he started with the gin and juice back in 1993, to where he has come now, full circle, and how he has reinvented himself over the years, be it from, his ventures with Martha Stewart to all his business ventures. He has really transcended his stature as a hip hop artist. I think it's fascinating. But, one of the things, sir, I would tell you is, I see that your favorite artist is Bruce Springsteen.
He is.
Tell me why he's so important to you.
So Bruce and I, we grew up about 35 minutes away from each other.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he grew up in Freehold, New Jersey, and I grew up in Toms River, down on the shore. And we have a lot of similarities, kind of towns we grew up in. He was from a textile town, a textile company left. I was from basically a suburb without the herb part, because it was like a little too far from New York, a little too far from Philly. But we also had a big chemical company there. We became a super fun site. And it was a town in transition, and there was something about it that Bruce would always sing about, trying to get out. And I appreciate, don't get me wrong, I appreciate where I grew up. I grew up basically 10 minutes from the beach. So I had the Jersey Shore, and if anyone ever seen the Jersey Shore, the show, MTV, that's where I grew up.
Oh, wow. So you grew up,
I grew up there with J-Wow, Paulie D, The Situation. That was kind of the bubble in which I grew up, but I realized there was more of a world out there to explore and see.
Right.
So I went to school in the Midwest, but, Bruce sung about this. That was like why I picked Born to Run.
Yeah.
This is something that he saw something more for himself, outside, bigger, better. And I wanted to pursue my dreams that were outside the Jersey Shore. Do I always go back? Absolutely. Do I see my parents are still there? My brother's still in Jersey. So Bruce also, throughout my different parts of my life, had a real impact. Of course, he sung about 9/11, the whole The Rising album. And that experience, I was there. I was in the Pentagon on that day. So it was a very poignant moment there, and he sung to me, he sung to a lot of folks about it. And then when I got to my first post in Berlin, I got out of I got there as a diplomat second tour with a family, get into the cab to go to our residence, and the taxi driver was from the former East Germany, the DDR. And he goes, "Where are you from?" And I said, my German. I was like, "Yeah, I'm from New Jersey." He's like, "Oh, that's where Bruce is from, Bruce Springsteen." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You know what? That guy changed my life. It was the first time I'd ever seen a Western artist perform in East Berlin, still East Berlin, back in 1988 or 89. And it was right before the fall of the wall." And he goes, "It just changed my perspective of my life, and this is what I wanted." And I just couldn't think of a better way to start my first tour in Germany as a diplomat, to be inspired by what Bruce did and how he inspired people,
right,
for a better life, a better way. And that's kind of, he's just always been there with me
Yeah.
throughout my career.
That's a fascinating story, and I mean, how how poetic is that you're engaged by a taxi driver, and how Bruce inspired him, and that's your favorite artist, and that you're there to help perpetuate a lot of the things and the values that your favorite artist has imbued upon, another nation and another culture. How cool is that? That is awesome.
Bruce Springsteen, is always about the common man. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go through all his music, whether it's Born to Run, The River, Nebraska, Wrecking Ball, the most, this century, and it's just all about what how the common man relates and what it means to be where you are in life and your stations of life, but always looking for something better and how we can get there.
Right.
And our ambassador Amy Gutman, is a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, and she came down to Munich for the concert this past summer, and to sit there with her and go and watch him play in his last tour was
How was the concert?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Guy hasn't lost it.
Really?
I mean, he just that energy that he plays with every time
That's
he
awesome.
goes out is something to is really. I hope I have half that energy when I'm his age.
How old is this
Like
boss?
74, 75.
Oh wow, wow, yeah. And
Still bouncing around.
still bouncing around. That is awesome.
And just giving it his all.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen
yeah.
other artists that are kind of approaching the twilight of their career.
Oh, that's awesome.
Don't give them as much energy as the boss did. I will tell you that.
That's awesome. Hey, that is real. I appreciate you sharing what you hold dear, in particularly with him. In a lot of his songs, like you said, they represent what is good about America and how the American ideal has transcended borders and has influenced countries across the world. That's awesome, and so we appreciate that, sir. We got a whole lot more to talk about. We got another 50 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and Moody. What we getting into now?
I mean, with all the Bruce Springsteen talk, I mean, I got to play a little Glory Days for you. I don't know if you're pretty sure you know that song, correct?
I do indeed.
Yes, it's one of your favorite ones, or what
It
is
is
that?
kind of my anthem now.
Is it your anthem? Hey, we got to play this anthem on the morning scramble this morning, 8:15 now, and yes, indeed, we still got about 45 minutes in the studio with Colonel Poole and Mr. Timothy Liston, Consul General, coming all the way down from Munich to talk with us. I'm excited about it. Let's keep it rocking and rolling.
Let's get it. Hey, good morning, Bavaria. Once again, Colonel Kevin Poole here, your friendly neighbor gas commander for Grafenberg, Vilseck, Hohenfels, and Garmisch. Again, we got Mr. Consul General Timothy Liston here with us. We're talking all things State Department, consulate, Americans living overseas, in Bavaria, in Germany. Hey, sir, another one. You hitting me again with it. Come As You Are, Nirvana. Wow, your playlist is immaculate.
Eclectic.
Immaculate. I tell you what, sir, you are just surprising me with every minute. So let's shift back to consulate type stuff and all things Americans living overseas, and just for those who you are joining us, we're talking about how the State Department and the consulate in Munich supports Americans, and I think it's important for you all to know all of the services that they provide and what Consul General Liston leads and oversees in supporting Americans overseas. You expound on that a little bit more, sir?
Yeah, I mean, happy to. The thing is with one of our what we're charged with as diplomats, and one of our first priorities, and our always will be our number one priority is protecting Americans abroad, in serving Americans abroad, and a lot of our consular work down there revolves around that, whether it's producing passports, be it regular renewals, or if you lose a passport or need to travel, an emergency passport. And I know our military folks have all of this taken care of for them, and going through Frankfurt, and big army takes care of you. But for you civilians out there, we're there for you. Should you need a new passport, should you have a child here, you're going to need to get a certificate of birth abroad. And those are things that we gladly do. And then there's like these little things where, for example, you're selling your house and you're going to need something notarized. We do notarials too. And
wow.
Yeah. That's seriously important. And as a matter of fact, we have a couple folks coming in that I know that are selling their houses in
their house
States.
here in the States.
In the States.
Okay.
Or here. But
okay.
If you, for whatever reason, you need notarial services, we offer those.
Wow.
So you need just to make an appointment. You go on our website, our webpage, make an appointment. We try to be as quick as possible. As the U.S. Consul General here in Bavaria, I pride myself on making sure that we offer the best service, customer-oriented, friendly, and I've heard nothing but that since I've been here.
That's awesome.
The other thing, of course, we do that's coming up next year will be voting.
Now that's important.
Yes. Yes, it's very important. It's something that, of course, is your constitutional right.
Yep.
And being abroad should not hinder you from voting, and we want to make that as accessible as possible. Now, of course, most people are going to have to do the legwork. If they're citizens, they're residents at whatever state they're a resident in the United States, they should get their ballots sent to them at their address here in Germany, but we will mail them back for you. So you don't have to pay the postage. You can bring them into the consulate.
Oh, wow.
And we are still developing these, what our policy actually at the consulate in Munich will be. But I will we'll be putting out public messaging on this, public announcements through our website, through hopefully on Instagram and our social media. So stay tuned because we want to make sure that everyone be able to exercise their right to vote next year.
Awesome. So a lot of these services you're talking about are requirements that would arise for whether it be our military folks or our expatriates living abroad here in Bavaria, not necessarily affiliated with the military, but requirements that would arise that weren't necessarily foreseen. And I know you've got a lot of stories of, instances where we were having to work to get our American brothers and sisters out of jams, and people that have problems, issues happen. You lose passports, you're stranded. Give me some good stories about some of the things I'm sure you've seen a lot.
We do see, of course. I mean, one of the things we always one of we say in the Foreign Service is that you'll never forget your consular tour, because we all have to do one. Mm-hmm. If you're a Foreign Service officer, you have to do a minimum of 2 years as a consular officer. So you're doing visas, you're doing passports. You're doing prison visits, helping destitute Americans, whatever. You say life happens, people's situations arise, and we're there for you. Sometimes it's just people are in dire straits. Sometimes people go to Oktoberfest and have a little too much fun, and perhaps lose their passport or get sideways with the locals and law enforcement, and we wind up getting that call. But that's our duty. That's our responsibility, is to make sure that our American citizens are tended to. Whether it is the lost passport, we will get 50 passports sent back to us.
50 passports.
Every Oktoberfest.
October. 50 passports.
Yes. People, they just wind up in the S-Bahn. They wind up on someone pulled out their money out of their lederhosen and their dirndl, and passport goes spilling on the floor. They forget about it. They don't know. They leave it in their hotel room. What I'd like to say, and this is another thing about our host country, they're very, 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 very rarely stolen.
Absolutely.
They are returned to us. Usually returned to Lost and Found at the Oktoberfest, where there's a place, and then the local officials will gather them up and send them back to us in a bunch.
Wow!
So it just again speaks very very highly of our host government and our host nation. But people need to get on airplanes, and people need to get on with their lives. So we're there to do emergency passports, but again, I would suggest watch your passport. Yeah. Perhaps best that you only take a copy of it with you to Oktoberfest, while leaving the real thing in the hotel. In the hotel.
There you go. Yeah. That's a great point. And you bring up Oktoberfest, and I didn't even think about that. I'm sure you all are very busy in September and October, just making sure to keep our, doing your best that you can to keep our American citizens safe, and then being able to respond to crises as they present themselves.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I mean, this year, every year, we've taken a concerted effort to make sure that our American citizens, our brothers and sisters, are safe. Mm-hmm. They know where the safe places are at Oktoberfest. If they're feeling uncomfortable, they can go to these places. We've worked with the local government, local authorities, to ensure that these places are visible, that they're easy to find, that they're on the app that Oktoberfest puts out. And then we put out our own social media video this year with many of us speaking German, including our Marines.
Wow.
But with the underlying message, be safe, be courteous, be responsible, and always can be able to call on the United States government, the United States consulate,
right,
should problems arise. But be those respectful, good guests and diplomats and ambassadors that we all want.
No, that's very interesting how, in how you work with the German government, with the organizers of the Oktoberfest. I'm sure that's got to be a monumental task to make sure we are injecting our initiatives, and our requirements to keep our citizens safe. That's very fascinating.
I think it's something that it's the common goal that we want.
Right.
And it speaks volumes about the relationship that we have with the Bavarians, that we're equals, that we aren't trying to tell them what to do, but rather working with them and offering support for and initiatives that allow us to reach those common goals. Whether in this case it's public safety at Oktoberfest so everyone can have a good time and feel safe, or whether it's working with them to provide the necessary support, training, and equipment for our friends in the Ukraine fighting against the war. We have those common goals, those common objectives based on common values, and we're all trying to get to the same place.
Absolutely. We definitely appreciate your services, sir. And I could talk to you all day and all night, but my man DJ Moody's looking at me. We got to pay some bills.
We got to pay a couple bills, but we also got to play a couple tracks as well. This one's coming straight from Mr. Consul General Timothy Liston, Southern Cross, Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
There we go.
How's it going, Bavaria? We are back. It's your boy, Colonel Kevin Poole, your friendly neighborhood garrison commander for U.S. Army Garrison Bavaria. I've got our Consul General, Timothy Liston, the senior diplomat in the Free State of Bavaria. We had a little bit. We've been playing a lot of Bruce Springsteen. We just heard Santa Claus is coming to town. But when we went into break, we played Southern Cross by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. It's got some significance for the Consul General. Tell us about that, sir.
Yeah, it does. This song actually was one of those things I look as inspirational for me, being able to be part of the Foreign Service. I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. I was a Parrot Head.
You are a Parrot Head.
I am a Parrot Head
Okay.
forever and for more. And Jimmy Buffett was playing a concert the night before my oral exams, and then when you take the Foreign Service exam, you have to pass the written exam, and then they give you a date for the oral examination. And I had tickets for Buffett for at least 6 months before, and the letter came that I was going to have the oral exam, but it's the day after the concert.
Goodness.
So I think I weighed that in my head.
You had that's a moral dilemma.
That lasted about 2 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
After that, I was like, all right, Buffett, Buffett or exam. I said, Buffett. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So my wife and I went to the concert, and he played a cover of that song. And this song has been with me. I grew up sailing. I've sailed to that song in the Keys, on the Jersey Shore, up in Maine. But he did a cover of it, and it just hit me. And I just turned to my wife and I said, I'm going to pass that exam tomorrow. I just knew it. I just knew it. And we had a great time that night. And we got home at dark 30. And I had to get up at dark 30 plus 2.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I got a couple hours of sleep. But, I just had this great feeling that I was going to pass the exam. And turned out that day, I was the only one to pass it.
Wow.
So here we are, 20, 23 years later.
That is awesome.
I would always look back at that song with a lot of good memories.
And it worked out. It probably gave you, with Jimmy Buffett, I mean, he's always had that attitude of, hey, life is life. It's going to be okay. And that's probably what inspired you to go into that test free and clear and able to focus and pass the test. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, these things you in life, whether it's you passing your PT exam or or whatever whatever you do, just having that clear head. And if you need inspiration, I mean, when I put this playlist together, I could go down and every song that I picked had basically something, some memory in my life, some twist, some connection, and this one was really kind of clarity of thought. And going into to do something with clarity and a positive attitude.
Hey, sir, what you just said, that's really profound, because one of the things that I always harp on, is particularly now, and when we see it across the garrison, and I would argue it's a cross section of our nation, in the United States writ large. There are a lot of folks out there that are struggling mentally from a either mental or spiritual resilience perspective. We got folks that are struggling. And I always harp on, all of us being able to take care of each other and recognizing when you got brothers and sisters to your left and your right that are going through some things, do what you have to do to get them some help, because it's tough. And living overseas is not easy. And we were talking about this earlier. Germany is an awesome place to be, but there are some nuances with respect to, first time in another country. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is something that, as a foreign service officer, we go through every 3 years, right? Or maybe 2 or 3 years, sometimes 4. And that is when you move to a new country. It's new, it's great, it's wild, it's really exciting, but it's different. It's not home. And you're going to get to a point of your tour. It's usually about 3 or 4 months after you arrive, is the honeymoon's over kind of period, where you're going to start, maybe not feeling so good. You start getting maybe a little stressed, frustrated with the local culture. But that's normal. That's okay. We call it, we always say it's culture shock. Mm-hmm. And it's a normal part of adjusting to a country or culture that you're in. And it doesn't help that the days are getting shorter.
Right.
It's getting colder. Here in Germany, you know how gray it can be.
Right.
And how it can rain. And that doesn't help. But the thing is, it is still an exciting place.
Right.
You have support. You have the resources, friends or chaplains or medical professionals to help you get through that stuff.
Right.
That's what we're there for. And we just kind of get used to it, but it's a real thing, and you shouldn't be afraid to talk about it and hit it head on, because we all have gone through it.
Right.
And it shouldn't take away from the wonderful tour that you're having here in Bavaria.
Absolutely. So you bring up a good point, sir. So that's for us military folks assigned to a garrison who have a relatively mature infrastructure and resources to help us get through these times. But for a lot of for all of our American expatriates who are unaffiliated with the military, who are living in Munich, just got to Siemens or a company they're working for, and they're going through the same things, but they don't necessarily have the resources we do. What would you say to them, sir?
Well, of course, every situation is different. There's ways to get involved with your community, right? There are plenty of groups, like if you're into, back to hiking, or friend groups for expats. Mm-hmm. I've seen them a lot on Facebook, and they're get involved there. And then, of course, there are resources you can get either through your company or just on the local economy. We always offer a list for Americans, for doctors and mental health specialists. We don't, that's a list that anyone can have. Right. People ask us for lawyers all the time. Well, here's a list of lawyers.
Yeah.
So we're more than happy to help. But definitely, when you're building your friends up and finding those different groups, everyone's been in that boat.
Right.
And that's where trying to find safety in numbers and
Absolutely.
find that safe space to be able to talk about it.
Which is why it's so important to really take to heart what we talked about earlier with respect to getting out and engaging and building your network, meeting new people, not just American folks, but Germans, our host nation partners, and building new bonds and friendships, particularly here in Bavaria, because again, like you said, it can be challenging at times, but the good for me far outweighs the bad, and that can be what gets us through. And just living in Bavaria is awesome. And I know we've got some. I think we got any more input?
Yeah, we've got a couple people online right now. The question of the day, if you guys didn't know, is what makes it better in Bavaria for you? Junie Kamara on the page said the friends I made and still have here in Bavaria. Gotta love that one. Benjamin Griffin on the page said the quiet of the towns and the cities. You gotta love that as well. And Wanda Veronica said absolutely everything. So a lot of positive comments coming in about why it's better in Bavaria.
A lot of positives of why it's better in Bavaria, but nonetheless, we've got to be able to look out for our brothers and our sisters to our left and our right, who aren't necessarily in a good place. Especially now, and I don't know if your rotation cycles are the same as ours, but most of our folks come to Bavaria in the summertime.
That's right.
Which lines up, it's the perfect storm when they hit that 4-month honeymoon is over period. It's coming right into the holiday season. Like you said, the weather's getting colder, the days are getting shorter. Holidays, there's a whole bunch of holiday stressors, buying Christmas gifts for the kids, and there's some financial issues that might be creeping in there, depression, being away from family in the States during the holidays, all those things we got to keep an eye on. And we got, in the Army, we call it hunting the good stuff from a resilience perspective, and just focusing on those things about being here that make life better, in emphasizing those and capitalizing on those to help us get through those tough times. Sir, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here. And I want to give you the opportunity to give a holiday shout out to all of our listeners here in U.S. Army Garrison Bavaria, as well as all of our American listeners who listen to AFN, sir.
Well, I'm happy to do that. And Kevin, thanks again for letting me come up here and spend a great 2 hours with you. It's been absolutely amazing.
Hasn't it gone by fast?
As you said.
It's awesome. Love it.
Absolutely, 100%. Look, I just want to, on behalf of the United States Consul General here and our ambassador, Dr. Amy Gutman, I'd like just a big shout out to the troops. Thank you for your service. Everything you do every day is for our country and to make this place even better than it is and protect our freedom. I'm with you. We're with you. We know what it's like being abroad as foreign service officers, being away from family. But your commitment to duty and the commitment to mission is extremely impressive. And I'm just glad I'm honored to serve side by side with you. And I hope you and your family have a safe and wonderful holiday season. And again, thanks so much for being able to make my day and being here today.
Awesome, sir. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for getting up so early and coming here and spending these hours with us. It's been a distinct pleasure to have you here. I won't belabor the holiday message more than what CG Liston did, because I will see you all out on these U.S. Army Garrison Bavarian streets here in the next couple days. Team Garmisch-Partenkirchen, I will be down there today for your Christmas tree lighting ceremony and holiday party on Wednesday. Look forward to seeing you all out on the local Christmas markets. I'll be in Grafenwehr, Vilseck, and Pignitz on Saturday, Hohenfels on Sunday. Also got the holiday concert. U.S. Army Europe Band and Chorus is to be here in Grafenwehr next Sunday, the 10th at 1900. Look forward to seeing you all out there. Please enjoy your holidays. Stay safe. Get your winter tires put on, and then take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Do the right thing, and remember that life is better in Bavaria.